time to do a little bit of daily part 2 of daily number 436, where we learn to be a better gamer. In part number 1, what we did... Oh, crap, I accidentally loaded up the wrong replay. Allow me to fix that. In part number 1, we talked about the basics of this plan in PvZ that involved these 5 parts. Let me just briefly go to the correct game. Is this the money game? Yes, excellent. We talked about this 5-part plan that I'll go ahead and just load up in Notepad because it was requested in the chat. Here's our 5-phase plan in the matchup. Early expand and don't do that much aggression. Then do Stargates and Sentries and we start +1 attack. We go for 4 Warp Gates total. We get a Robo and the last is a Twilight Council. And then we go expand, blink, and +2 attack. And in part number 5, Colossus Den, more commonly known as the Robotic Support Bay, and we get more gateways. In the early game, we're making mostly sentries. In phases 3 to 5, we make mainly stalkers and sentries. I just did a lot of the what in that part number 1. The important thing to note, though, is that we have a clear plan now, and we're going to see a game between Axslav and Violet where things are pulled every which way. We're going to spend a little bit more time going in depth as to the reasoning during a lot of phases, but we wanted to get the what established first because it's so easy to think of everything branching off in all these crazy directions. If we just have a plan and stick to it, we're going to be in great shape, and this is a very good plan. Very interestingly, and very sexily of all, we're going to also talk a lot in parts 2 and 3 about how to deal with the late game. I'm going to stop midway through this game and say, aha, here is where people tend to get lost, just so that way we can see what we're talking about. But for now, let's just look at this plan, this overall plan, get pushed and pulled every which way. Wonderful. Here is Axslav, who is actually on Team Infinity 7. In this game, he was playing under the ID Rain Axslav. I guess they didn't have any sort of name change available, but he is indeed on Infinity 7. So let's see if we can identify some of these parts. Alright, well, he's going for an early expand. He's doing the cross-map scout. That seems quite normal. Just going to make sure there's no sort of goofiness going on here. Oh, what did I tell you in the last game? As long as you get your forge and your expansion started before 3 minutes, before 3 minutes and 10, you'll be in good condition. Pylon block goes down, a photon cannon as well. Huh. Well, this might be a little bit weird. I mean, not a lot of people do that, and now Axslav building his photon cannon. Either way, though, with all the things that he has done, he's still going to end up throwing down his Nexus as quickly as he can. Kind of a difference that we're seeing in this game is that Axslav is building way more probes. In the last game, we saw Grubby halt at 17. But either way, hey, there's the Nexus going down. Remember we talked about gateways? A gateway at 3:30 is a pretty early gateway. A gateway around 4 is a little bit of a later gateway. So great, Axslav is doing some good old late stuff, so for any of you who worry about whether or not you're being a Speedy Gonzalez, have no fear because Axslav was not this game. Getting the double gas, excellent. We saw that happen as well in the last game. Here comes the Cybernetics core en route. Now, in terms of this build, I said we don't do that much aggression. This is the build I want to pin down for you. Let's see what Axslav does. He does something really weird. He actually does a really weird, aggressive move. But the important thing to note is that if we view the skeleton of this build, the core is an expand without that much attacking. And then the Stargates and the Sentries that follow it up are core of the build. If you do an attack before then, it is sort of an extra or stylistic thing. And it's important to be able to distinguish core parts of a build versus style parts of a build. Let me give an example. If we go for a 2 barracks opening in Terran vs. Protoss, our first attack, right when we get the Marauder, is core to the build. If we don't do that attack, we have totally botched the build. We must do that attack. If you rush for a Dark Shrine and then don't rush for DTs afterwards, you're messing up your build. If you go for a 6 pool and don't attack with those first lings, you are messing up your build. I want to hammer that idea into you, that for this build, an attack is not core. It can occur, but it is not core, in the same way that fast zerglings are core for a 6 pool. Alright, cool. So let's see what Axslav does. Pokes around here and builds a pylon. Wow. He's also getting, he is getting the sentries, as we talked about before. That's pretty neat. We've seen this once again in this part of the build, this sentries. And in phase 1 to 3, we make mainly sentries. But the interesting thing that we're going to see Axslav do is he builds these 2 cannons here. This is an increasingly popular way to play this matchup, where this kind of aggression is really, really catching on. Because while the Zerg is building all these Zerglings, we back home are getting out chrono-boosted probes. So here's another Nexus, chrono-boosted probes. So cool, this little attack, we are explaining in a vacuum, ignoring whatever else our plan is. Here's the plan. Ignoring this plan, we're saying, why is this attack good? It forces lings instead of drones. It lets us get a lead in terms of workers. Look at that, 40 to 33, and still more units being made. And when all this is said and done, maybe we'll kill off this base, maybe we won't, but we certainly have a big lead in workers. This is a bonus thing, this is a stylistic thing, cool. You know what hasn't changed? The core build. As we come back, we see mainly sentries being made here, 2 sentries. We see +1 is done. And we see, a Stargate. Wonderful. We didn't focus too much on the Stargate units. As long as you build a Void Ray and some air, that's basically good enough. Here is the Void Ray now incoming. And also what we see throwing down as well is going to be 2 gateways, more to come. We see Violet trying to gear up to do a little bit of a push at the front, but Axslav is more than prepared enough for it. I've been really liking watching Axslav play lately. His play is really cool. Void Ray popping out, 2 Void Rays. Just going to look at this phase for a moment. And again, if we go to that probe count, look at how ahead we are, 52 to 39. That was a bonus of doing some aggression, but still, this is the core plan. Void Ray targets down the Overlord, Robo, 1, 2, 3, 4 gateways. And soon enough, we're going to see a Twilight Council. Now, what I want to briefly do is I want to pause at this phase in the game, and I want to talk about what the purpose of this Void Ray play really is. Because someone might just say, well, why not just go straight for 4 gateways and a Robo, and then just expand? That seems like reasonable enough. 4 gates and expand, and then we're safe as well. The Void Ray has a big benefit in terms of the safety back home. As we come into the game, we see that once this Void Ray is out, suddenly Violet has to start getting some kind of money spent on anti-air. Spores, Queens, Hydralisks, anything that you can list that is good anti-air is not good at going across the map to kill off an expansion. Hydralisks slow off creep. Queens really slow off creep. Spore crawlers can't do shit off creep. Corruptors take a really long time to build and obviously will not be done, or obviously won't hurt buildings. They fly and they're only anti-air. So Violet, by going for this anti-air composition, will effectively allow Axslav to take this expansion. Again, around 10:30 is when you should be looking to do it. And there's the Robo finishing up. Oh yeah, that last little bitsy thingy, the Twilight Council, propping up as well. Now, what I'm going to begin doing is talking about these 2 phases, the Stargate and Sentries, and we start with +1 attack. And now we're here, the 4 Warp Gates total, a Robo, the last to build is a Twilight. I'm going to be talking a little bit about what we're doing with these air units. For the most part, they are our air units. As we come into Vision, our void rays want to be staying somewhere between here and here, right on down the middle. Maybe we can poke and do a little damage here and come back. Maybe we can poke up here, but we can still come back. You know what's an angle we really don't want to be doing with our void rays? We don't want to be up here with the void rays, moving along to try to hit this location. Because what happens? Where do we retreat? We'll have to retreat up here and then up here, which is way far away from some sort of roach counterattack. Again, the void rays are useful to us also for defense. What is good at killing an expansion? A lot of speed roaches, a lot of zerglings, some infestors. Void rays are going to be very good against most of that. Hoo! Hee-haw. And obviously, if he pushes, we're going to build some sentries. We can crush pretty much any small number of units pretty easily. So here we go, Blink. +2 is going to be queued up in a moment. Looks like we have ground armor down right now. We also looks like we're getting ready for Phase 5. Colossus and more gateways. More gateways. Where's the Colossus? Should be starting soon. But perhaps slightly more important than that is that we're building Stalkers. We're getting +2. And that these void rays of ours are being very actively positioned in mid-map. One of them is back home. Another one is up here. And this looks pretty good. Getting some Immortals up. Grubby focused a little bit more on Immortals. Axslav focused a little bit more on this crazy push early on. Hey, where's that Robo? I see it somewhere. Aha! I found it, Robotics Bay. And a second robotics facility. Wonderful. Wonderful. Alright, so Blink's going to finish up. And right when Blink finishes up, this is where I will actually pause. Ah! So good. So perfect. Now, at this point in time, this is, I think, where, now that I've done the daily, any of you who had not seen this build before would be able to do it pretty confidently. There's not that much craziness. Again, all you have to do is have this list somewhere and just be trying to go for it. Sure, you might want to push at the start, or maybe you might want to do a lot with Stargates, get a lot of Phoenixes in there, but no matter what, just going in this order is good. Here's the issue. We are now at the 13-minute and 50-second mark. We are 3 minutes away from hitting 17 minutes, right when we can start doing a big deadly push that will very frequently win the game for us. This is a problem. Now, a lot of you are going, well, why? That seems dumb. I mean, this thing that I'm describing right now is exactly how Genius defeated Dongray Gu in their Game 1 play in the GSL Code S Finals on Daybreak. Literally, this timing I'm talking about is so good it beat Dongray Gu in the finals of GSL Code S. It's just a common good-ass timing. The problem is, the timing is so good and so strong, and getting a 3-base play up securely and doing a max push is so powerful that it's very easy for your learning to stop there. It's so easy for your learning to stop there. And what very frequently happens, and I've seen a lot of low Grandmaster protosses succumb to this, where in all the hundreds of replays I watch in this matchup recently, I'll see a player who will do this 3-base push, he'll do the max push, it won't win, the Protoss will have no clue when to take a 4th, no clue what units he should be making, no clue how to deal with Ling Muta harass when he's been mainly up against Roach Ling player. This moment I'm talking about right now is the big danger moment for you. And what's great is that we have Axslav on our side to show us how not to fall for that. Yeah, my God, my hair is so poofy today. Every time, the daily helps me with 3 things. One is StarCraft, but screw that, you guys knew that. The other thing is it lets me know when my hair is getting out of control, because I look at myself and I'm like, my God, I look like a hair volcano. I look like some sort of man chia pet. And the third one is when I announce the date before the daily, it helps remind me not to pay rent, but that I forgot to pay rent. Cool. Excellent. Aliens. It was aliens, man. I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. Perfect. No, whoops, there we go. So now I want to come to this phase, and just note, this moment in time, we actually don't need to be checking on precisely what our Zerg buddy's doing. Because he is in one of two situations. He's either going for a very fast hive, and doesn't have a lot of units, which will make our push strong, or he'll be going for a delayed hive, and he'll have a mainly Roach Hydra army, which our army's good at. Roaches. So, in fact, this scout is not so important. It's most important we have the observer ready to spot so we can get our army into position. If you watch Naniwa's stream, he is in a position like this all the time. Holy cow, I literally have no vision of what my opponent is doing, and more importantly, it doesn't matter. This build timing is what's good, not the information of what our opponent is doing. The build timing is what's good. So now we're going to start to have some variation going on. We're not up against Roach Hydra, we're not up against the Fast Hive. We are rather up against a player going for some sort of harassy Ling Muta play. Ordinarily, we would see a player adding on a lot of gateways right now. 6 is fairly low for this phase in the game. What we see Axslav doing is he's going to spend almost all his money on cannons. Sure, he's getting these Colossi up because they will greatly help the push, but we're going to see a bunch of money dumped into cannons. We're even getting an extra Observer up. Observer checking for Mutalisks. It's not what he's doing back home that we're worried about. It's these counterattacks that we're worried about. It's a Roach push at the front. Notice how this Observer that was here just seconds ago, actually I can just pull back and show it to you. This Observer was here gearing up for Roach pushes. This was our anti-army Observer. This right now is dealing with a Roach army. But the instant we know that there's no Roach army, oh wait, where'd he go? He is now an anti-Mutalisk Observer. Again, you will have this Observer. He is your army Observer. He is trying to spot for the enemy army. More photon cannons. The back cannons are quite good against Mutalisks. More photon cannons over here at the right side. Yeah, we're warping in some Stalkers. That's great, but here we can see in an instant why this composition is so good. We have the sentries. Remember how in our plan, part 1 to 3 was making mainly sentries? Well, now, look at the sentries. They have almost all full energies. In fact, these 3 that don't have full energy just spent their energy on force field. There's 150, or excuse me, 300 right there. And we see that that's about how much has been expended. Cool. That plus 2 attack, now we can get plus 3 attack. These Colossi are coming up right as the Zerg would want to make some sort of max Roach Ling-ish push, or Roach Hydra push. But here is where we start to see the real brilliance of Axslav. He is pushing out right as he is having vision of his flanks covered. And, you know, thankfully, vision of the big attack covered as well. He doesn't have an Observer in this army. We probably would like to have that, but more importantly, we want to make sure that we have this sort of vision space covered. Now, literally, in about 15 seconds, Axslav will have the money army mix. He will have that money mixture where he's ready to go kill. This is where our learning can potentially stop, or our learning can potentially halt. Before we go on to part 3, what I'm just going to do is note some compositional changes from Axslav. Compositionally, focusing largely on the Colossi. We have 4 Colossi out there, but in virtually any army mixture, we want to have 3 or so Immortals. And that, thankfully, we have, a robotics facility making us an Immortal to go along with these 2. When you are doing a push, try to be thinking in terms of reinforcing with Immortals rather than reinforcing with Colossi. Once you have about 4 Colossi, you're in good shape to do the big push. 6 Colossi will accomplish about the same thing as 5 Colossi in this matchup, but those extra Immortals are going to help lots. Because a Zerg who is under pressure from an attack is replenishing with Zerglings and Roaches. In a lot of high-pressure situations, what Zerg is not replenishing is Broodlords, which the Colossi would be good against. So that is one of the big reasons why we want to be emphasizing the Immortals during those reinforcements. As we come back, let me just note that Axslav's still spending a lot of his minerals on extra cannons instead of on extra gateways. This is due to the fact that he has seen Mutalisks in this mixture. So what we're going to do is we're going to step into part number 3 of the daily. And when we go into part number 3, we're going to look at all the brilliant, beautiful late-game decisions that we're going to see Axslav perform. Before we go to the break, I'm going to leave a question with you to think about before part number 3. And if you're watching on archives, go get a glass of water, perhaps evacuate yourself, and mid-evacuation, ponder what would be the goal of the Protoss in this situation. What is the goal? And I'll give you one hint. The goal is not, I want to go kill him with this push. It can kill him, but I don't want that to be your end goal. I want that to be an incidental result. What is your goal at this point in time? Think about it. We'll come back for part number 3. Talk about it. And I'm in the mood for some rock out music, so let's go ahead and find some.